I mean, look, you came from not a whole lot growing up, obviously, but some of your best stories are the gambling games you
Yes.
played in, which I'm fascinated with. I mean, that's basically how I learned how to play the game, was under pressure, at least, was playing for some cash on the line. What
Yeah,
was
when
it
you
like?
didn't have any.
Exactly. What was it like when, I mean, you had guys out there backing you and booking on you, but what was it like going out there playing some of those gambling games?
Oh, it was, well, I loved it when a guy backed me. That's when I was dangerous because it wasn't my money. So I had no pressure and I could play a little bit. Pressure would come. You played tennis in East.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 5 to a 6 plus at Tennyson East. I never shot over 65. And when we got gambling games, I knew that the guy wasn't going to tell me what his handicap was, not his true handicap. I mean, if he was a seven, he would. If he was a four or a three, he would say he was a seven, and he thought he was taking advantage of me. But the thing about it is, he'd ask me what my handicap was, and I didn't know about plus and minus as far as handicap was concerned. And I'd say I don't have one. Oh, he said you're scratch. I said I guess I don't have a handicap. He said, oh, okay. He said, well, you got to give me, I'll take four on the front and three on the back. I said, you got it. And I'd put 65 on it, 64. See, so that cheating me out of three strokes didn't help him any. You see, it didn't help him any. And that's what I did. But yeah, I was a fast gun. I got hired to play. Don't know what they bet. And I didn't care. I just, when I went out and played, the guy'd give me $100. I mean, it was a lot of money back then. A lot of money. Yeah.
Go back to one specific one because you have a lot of gambling stories that are well known, but this is the one that resonates with me. The game that was set up with Raymond Floyd when he came out to West Texas, and then Titanic Thompson came as well. The legend. How did that get set up, and did you know who Titanic Thompson was at that time you had that match?
I did not know who Ty was. I learned and I know his history now. I know him pretty well. And I spent some time with him, so I knew. After he watched me play, he wanted me to travel with him, and he wanted to stick me in the caddy barn. In other words, and that's when he goes and picks a caddy. He says, I'll pick a caddy as my partner, and we'll play you two guys. And that's just what he did. The Fat Man did that one time. Marty Stanovich, when I was working at the driving range back in the mid '60s, he came from Chicago and had a big game at Tennyson Park, and he heard about me. And the Fat Man came to the driving range, and he had a great personality. And he's leaning on the counter, and he's asking me all these questions and all this stuff. And he said, yeah, I hear you play out at Tennyson. I said, I do. He said, yeah, I'm playing out there. I said, when are you playing out there? And he said, well, I got a game out there. Who are you playing with? He said, oh, well, I'm playing with Dick Martin and all Arthur Carbon. And I knew all these guys. And all the big bookmakers, were all out there betting all the money. And so he said, I found out that you play out there all the time and you're very good. I said, I want to take you as a partner. And he took me as a partner, and we cleaned house. And I came back to work. I never saw him again. Saw him in Florida later on in the years. Well, what happened is they were having some big games out at El Paso. And these farmers doing the cotton farming, they were out at Horizon Hill. They had a little golf course out there. And they were all playing, and guys were coming in there. And they were playing this guy was a golf professional. He had played the tour, played the senior tour a little bit. The guy's name was Fred Hawkins, was the name of the guy that was playing these farmers, and they were beating him up a little bit. And this one farmer, which is a big gambler, he played a lot of poker, he did all that stuff, and he took the game up, and he would play you. And he says to this kid from Fort Worth, he says, do you know anyone that can play golf that no one knows? And he said, I know this Mexican kid in Dallas that works at a driving range, pretty good player. So he calls me on the phone, hires me for 3 days, $100 a day. I was making $100 working a week. So I jumped on a plane, he picks me up. I got a kangaroo bag, great kangaroo bag with McGregor on it with my name. And as soon as he picked me up at the airport in El Paso, he says, no, Chico. He said, that bag's not going to make it. So he takes my bag, takes all my clubs out and sticks them in that. Remember the little cotton stick bag with a stick bag on it, the green one? He puts all the clubs in there. And we go out there and we go to the putting green. They're all there. There's one guy there named Jack Redmond. Remember, he owns Stylish Shoe Company. And he goes over to the other guy and he says to him, he says, hey, who you playing today? And Fred says, I don't know. He said, I'm playing that kid over there on the end. He says, what's his name? He said, I don't know. He said, he's from Dallas. His name is Lee Trevino. And so Redmond looked over and he says, Fred, he said, you better watch out. He said, I think I know that kid. And he says, hell no. He said, if I don't know him, he can't play. So we went out and I dusted him pretty bad. So the next day we go to Campestre in Juarez and I beat him again. And then the third day we were supposed to play at Coronado and he didn't show up. So I went back home. So I came back out. Martin hired me again to come back and play the city champion, and I beat him. So I stayed. So I got a job in the pro shop. I opened at 5 a.m. I brought the carts out, cleaned up the locker room. I was just a handyman, that's what I was. But I got off at 11 where I could play the games. So one day, who do I see? Big Mickey, one of the big bookmakers from Dallas. And he's in the pro shop, and he's laughing. Hey, baby, how you doing? Hey, Mickey, what the hell are you doing here? He said, I hear y'all are playing for a lot of money. I said, I'm not playing for a lot of money. I don't have anything. He said, well, I hear they'll bet on you if we bring somebody in here. And I said, well, Mr. Letnich is right over there. You go talk to him. Now, Martin Letnich had no clue who Raymond Floyd was. None. So Mickey goes over there and he says, listen, we want to bring a player in here, that a professional. And will you bet on your man if we bring him into play? And Martin says, bring him on, Chico. He said, who? He says, we want to bring in Raymond Floyd. He says, I don't care who you bring. He says, bring him on. So I'm in the locker room one morning. Our driveway was caliche. You could hear a car drive in. And I heard this car drive in. I looked out, and it's a Cadillac. No Cadillac ever came in our parking lot. We had pickup trucks, motorcycles. We didn't have Cadillacs coming in there. So I see this guy get out of the passenger side. Tall, good looking, had a pair of gorgeous blue pair of pants on, Munson wears shirt, alligator shoes, Wilson bag in a cover. I go out in a cart, put it on the cart. It weighed 200 pounds, this thing. I take it in the locker room. I unload everything out of the bag, shoes, balls, everything falls out. He sits in a chair, about 15 feet away. And he says, can I get a Diet Coke? Sure. I went in a bar, got him a Diet Coke. He said, is there anyone here who plays gin? I said, not this early. It was about 10 o'clock. So one of the guys that came with him had gone to the pro shop to get a cart so they could see the golf course. And he comes running back. But before he came running back, Raymond says to me, whom am I playing today? And I said, you're playing me, Mr. Floyd. He said, who are you? I said, I'm nobody. I said, I just do the handiwork around here and I play. Okay. So the guy says, come on, let's go look at the course. He said, I got a cart. He said, I'm not going out to look at no golf course. That's what Raymond said. He said, I'm playing the locker room attendant. He said, I'm not going out there. So we teed off at 1 o'clock and I shot, I can't remember exactly, but I shot 64 or 65 at him. And I beat him 1 or 2 shots. And when we finished, he wanted to play another 9, emergency 9. And I told him I couldn't play an emergency 9 because I had to put the carts up. And he says, I'm playing the cart man too. So he comes back the next day and I shoot the same thing. And I beat him again. And then everybody dropped out. They pulled up. Raymond didn't. I got to tell you about him. Raymond is a competitor. He didn't pull up. He tripled up. He went triple bet. And when we came to 18, we both had eagle putts. Mine was 15 feet and his was 20. He made his and I missed mine. And he picked up his ball and he says, adios.
I've had enough of you.
I ain't coming back.
He said, that's it. Yeah, he and I tell that story. And you know what he does? He says, he tells the story I've had people come to me and they said, I've heard that story from you and I've heard it from him. And he said, it's word for word. I said, I'll never tell you a lie, my friend, because I can tell you this 10 years from now. That's right. That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
good.
That's
One of the best.
That was in probably 66, maybe somewhere in there. I think he had just won the Azalea Open or something. I think he had just won a tournament, his first tournament when he came there.
That's such a good story. I could talk gambling stories with you